Okay guys, this is a random story time. I was thinking about the fact that there's been so many amazing breakthroughs in the last several years with my clients. There's some personal stories that I'd like to share on here with you too about how BCM or knowing how the body communicates using those methods to answer the communication is so incredibly powerful. Now, some of you may or may not remember, but earlier this year, I had some major wild communication from my body. I called my kinesiologist on Monday. We worked through some stuff, did some testing to figure out what is this strain that almost feels like a hernia that exploded in my stomach. And it's not a hernia, but I've been having some strain there apparently for quite some time. And so it's manifested into this like knot that hurts so bad I can barely move my upper body. My body malfunctioned in a big way and in a drastic way. I was literally sitting in a meeting watching something happening to my stomach as I sat in a chair. My stomach started to grow so fast and so big in minutes that I had to grab a big bag that was near me and put it over my stomach because I was so scared someone was going to see what was happening. It was that dramatic. Now, I know that this sounds impossible, and I wouldn't believe it either if it wasn't happening to me. All of a sudden, I was in the craziest amount of pain, and I had no idea what was happening to me. Now, I can promise you that if this had happened to anybody else, they would have went straight to the hospital. But because I know that the body communicates, it's its way of telling us, I need you to take a look at this. There's a problem, something's been brewing, and I need you to give it your full attention. Because I understand that, I didn't want to just go to the hospital and have them tell me, oh, you need surgery immediately. We need to cut you open to see what's going on in there. And I know that that's what they do on top of just drugging me so that the pain would subside. But that's just like literally like pressing the mute button when someone's like saying hello, 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 and you just keep ignoring them. And so they just get louder or get very drastic until they finally have your attention. So this was drastic communication, and there was no way that my body was not going to get my attention. So I went home and I did a lot of testing. So you know, when I say testing, you already know that I'm talking about the sway test that's already here. Posted for you if you need to look at how I used the sway test to get the answers to what my body was trying to say to me. In addition, I use something else that's here in the community. You can access it where it says body maps. I was able to go into the body map and touch and test each area where I felt this huge knot in my stomach. Literally 7 separate areas blew up in my stomach and formed a huge painful cyst. Okay, so I know that's a lot, but it helped me pinpoint what's the issue. Because again, it's not just what's wrong, where it's wrong, and how does it show up. Even when did it start? Well, truthfully, it started a long time ago, and things had gotten extremely peaceful for that time. And that was my body's way of saying, well, it's go time. So I had taken one hit after another hit after another hit. I went through a terrible divorce, unexpected. I had a lot of things happen as a result. A lot of fallout for my kids, which is always hard on a mother to watch what it does to her kids. I got remarried. Went through trying to blend a family, learn how to be a stepmother. Then that husband suddenly dies. So I had some major hits and I buried them all in my stomach. Okay? So I was able to go into each area where I could literally put my hand, like I remember the one area felt like an egg. I think that was number 14. If you look at the body map, you could literally read what emotion gets stuck in what spot. So in the different parts of my stomach, I can remember specifically I had some suppressed rage. I remember that I was able to test what it was about so that I knew that that's one issue I had to deal with. I had another one that was more central. That one has to do with needing to control stuff. I couldn't let go of my need to control. certain outcomes that were not mine to take care of. You cannot control anybody else. You can only control yourself. And because I wanted something so badly and I couldn't make it happen, I formed a knot in my stomach and it was extremely painful. In fact, that one even burst. One was called controlled negativity on the body map. You can follow along on the map if you want to. So it's not just what shows up, but how it shows up. Oftentimes when there's negative emotions like rage or grief, it's gonna show up very differently than if it's something else. So anger often will show up in the body as like a cyst, a fibroid, an abscess, a tumor, something like that. So typically we think to ourselves, well, you can't do anything about that. You just have to get it cut out. Here's the problem. When you cut out something that's trying to talk to you, it just comes back. A very good friend kept getting cancer over and over and over. And I tried having this conversation with her and I'm like, your body is trying to tell you something. You've got to change some things. So she decided, well, no, I'm just gonna cut everything off, everything around it off, and then there's no way it can come back. Well, that's not how that works. So when we don't deal with our stuff and we don't go deep, it's going to come back. So if you take it off, you cut off one area of your body, it will just go somewhere else. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I am not sitting here telling you that there's no time or place for medical intervention, surgeries, none of that. I'm just telling you that's not been my choice. That's not something that I've chosen to do. I know for a fact that had I chosen to go have all 7 of those cysts cut out of my stomach, they'd have just come back. And maybe the communication would have been much louder and much more dangerous. This was something I was able to test that I could take care of on my own safely. That's why I love BCM, because your body will let you know if you need to hightail it to the hospital. And I promise you, if my body said, this is dangerous, get to the hospital, I would be the first one there. It's not a I hate medicine type community. It's not. It's just don't shut your body down when it's trying to talk to you. At least get the messaging. For example, if I get a splitting headache or something, which is very rare, by the way, but let's say I did, I am not going to just not take Excedrin or Advil or whatever, but I'm not going to take anything until I test and find out what the body is trying to tell me. Now, often, if I do the work that I'm supposed to do and use the tools that I'm going to teach you guys how to use, headache will just go away by itself. But if it's something that's hanging around and I've got stuff to do and I need to concentrate and I just don't want to deal with it, and I just want to knock it out real quick, then yeah, maybe I'll take something. But for the most part, I almost never do. Because when I do the deeper work of finding out why I got the headache in the first place, it just quells, it just melts. With that said, what happened to the 7 cysts? I am so happy to tell you, they're gone. They dissolved. I had no medical intervention. I had no surgery. What I did was the deeper work. I had to find out what was the suppressed rage about. Who was it that I felt the need to control? I can't let go of something that I don't even know I'm holding on to. I had to do a better job of dealing with the anxiety that was in my stomach over what's gonna happen now that, I'm widowed, a divorcee and a widow. That's, not that common to achieve in this amount of life, but I've done that and it comes with a lot of stress and a lot of problems. But if I don't learn how to control my emotions in those situations, then I get body malfunctions and I got some doozies. I looked like I was about 8 months pregnant for the first month of trying to figure out what to do. And initially, I was able to do like castor oil packs and essential oil to kind of get some of that swelling down right away. But the deeper work, it was all emotional. And I had to address what was behind that pain and what was behind each cyst. Each cyst had its own story. That's why we use the body mapping with BCM, because it's not just that it showed up, but where and how. If it's itching, that's very different than a cyst. If it's swollen, that's very different. If it's an abscess, that's something totally different. So each set of emotions will show up in a different place and in a different way to help us figure out where to begin the testing process and start checking, well, it's an abscess, so it's not gonna be this, and it's in this area of the body, so it probably has to do with this. If it's in your head, it's gonna be one thing. If it's in your feminine area, then it's gonna be something totally different. But when we can't stomach something and something nauseates us, then more than likely, whatever the malfunction is gonna be, it's gonna enter the abdominal area. And in my case, all 7 cysts went there. And just like they went there, they left there, because I got to business and got down to business to find out what happened. And I found out that in some cases I had been holding onto those negative emotions for a long time. And I thought it was interesting that my body didn't choose to tell me what was going on until things got quiet, because it was like your body was like, okay, you're not in the middle of another crisis, it's go time. And those cysts just blew up. Like, it felt like within seconds, and I was on a journey to healing. So you may not have to deal with cysts or anything like that, but I am here to tell you that if something like that does happen, it is possible, if you chose to go that route, to dissolve them on your own. It is possible. But that's an extreme case. You may be dealing with something totally different. Chronic rashes, migraines, whatever. You still need to heal your nervous system, and you still need to go to the deeper level. Because if you don't deal with your stuff, your body will, which means eventually you really will, but you'll be dealing with it in an uglier way and a much more dramatic way. So as these symptoms pop up, guys, please, let's slow down and find out, what is my body trying to say to me? If you get stuck, please send a message, because it's obviously an opportunity to get on a call with me. These tools are not super easy to learn right away, but I'm available. Obviously, I have my one-on-one coaching practice, but even if you just need a call because you're stuck, we will make that happen. So yeah, that's my story for today. I have many, many, many stories for you. I need you guys to know about these things, and I need you to know how effective BCM is for your holistic health, your whole person, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. Put these tools together, stack them, and unbelievable progress and transformation happens. So please tell me what you think of my story. Do you like story time? Do you want more of story time? And also, don't forget that we do have our first masterclass coming up January the 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern in SKOOL. Get your friends on here, guys, because the kind of content that we're going to be sharing is very powerful, and the kind of education that you're going to be able to receive as women, it's priceless. If we don't have our health, we have nothing. If we don't have our bodies, where are we going to live? Nowhere. So we got to take care of them, but we got to know what to do to take care of them so they don't break down and decline so quickly. And no, we're not buying into that whole thing that if you're over 40, you got to be on a bunch of meds, and you got to be tired, and you got to have no energy. It's just not true. We can slow down the aging process. We can have a whole lot more life in us if we know what to do, how to do it. That's what I'm here for. I'm your coach. I'm the one that's going to help teach you how to do it. I've already done it for myself. Like I said, I feel better today than I did when I was in my 20s. So please don't sleep on this stuff, and don't keep it to yourself. I really want to grow an authentic, awesome community of people like-minded that are aligned with our values and the fact that we want to be the best versions of ourselves as we can. And again, don't forget to stay involved in this challenge. Each action is very small. It's not going to stress you out. So stay involved. Thanks so much for listening to my story. I will be back soon, hopefully with another one that can be helpful to you too. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.